Hello, everybody, and welcome into another Flyers news and rumors here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, joined in by Justin Giampietro. Justin, how's it going?
The Flyers are doing good heading into the break, and I'm doing good heading into the break. We got a lot of juniors hockey coming up. Starts on the 26th. It is a great time of year for hockey, maybe my favorite time of year for hockey, just because, it's a great tournament, and the Flyers have a lot of players that are going to be playing in it. And the Flyers themselves, they've been playing pretty well recently. Just won a back-to-back, granted, not against the greatest teams, again, with all due respect, but they're winning, and they're second in the Metro, and I guess that kind of leads us into this. The Flyers are second in the Metro, which kind of unexpected.
For sure. They've won their last two, beat the Vancouver Canucks first, and then just came off a 3-1 win against the Blackhawks, only allowing 3 goals over the last 2 games. The last goal the Canucks scored was in the final 10 seconds or something like that. It was really late. You don't like those goals at the end of a game, but whatever. They still won. And another one, both teams, the Canucks are at the bottom of the league, dealing with a ton of injuries. The Blackhawks, the same deal. They're dealing with a couple of their top players out. There's a caveat maybe in the wins, but whatever. They're 4 points. It doesn't really matter what teams you get them against and how they're dealing with it. But they've been playing really well. Of course, everyone knows I cover the Canucks. I watched that game against the Flyers, and the Flyers were really good. They basically gave the Canucks nothing. The Canucks couldn't move the puck through the neutral zone with much flow at all. And then the Flyers were really good on the forecheck. They were really pressuring the Canucks, and I'd say every turn that I don't think the Canucks really had a lot of zone pressure. It was like one and done, and they were out of the zone. So it seems like the Flyers, that's their system. And Talkett's system, I know that very well too. So it's like I was watching the Canucks from when they were playing well under Talkett. They've had a couple really good games, and they're sitting comfortably in a playoff spot right now. And I believe it was Andrew that came out with an article about that. Maybe the playoffs are a good thing for the Flyers to actually make. What do you think on that? Do you think the Flyers should be heading, kind of kicking for the playoffs, or potentially maybe in between, still trading guys? Because they're still technically, I guess, in a rebuild.
Well, I think there was a reason why they went after a guy like Zegras in the offseason, why they signed Dvorak in the offseason. I don't know if they expected themselves to be in this position, but it had to happen eventually, right? This is a fan base that has been starving, really starving, just to get in. Okay, they tied a franchise record for consecutive playoff misses. They haven't had a home ice in Philly second round playoff game in 14 years at this point. Well, 13 years. It's been a long time, and people want to see winning no matter how it happens. So you want them to make the playoffs. At this point, it's too late to quote unquote tank for a top draft pick. Just kind of they got that out of the way, I think, with getting Martone, especially last year. You just don't really have to do that anymore. Do they need talent? Sure. It would be nice to get another top defenseman, but you can find other ways. I just don't think they ever intended to be not good this season.
For sure. Like you mentioned with Zegras, that's not a move that I guess a rebuilding team would do. They're acquiring a guy and trading away stuff too, to get him. So it is something that, and Zegras has definitely fit in. He's one of their best players. Arguably maybe their best player this season. And he's looking a lot more, I'd say even better than his rookie season, where he dazzled and maybe was a little more flashy rather than just playing the game. And I think that's what he's kind of doing now. He's not, I don't think he's doing as much of those little, like he's trying to be on the highlight reel. It seemed like that's what he was trying to do in his rookie year. And I mean, he was on it a lot, but and he has the capability, I mean, the ability to do those things. And but you can't be all flash. You've got to be solid in all areas of the game too. And I think that's what he's doing this season too. All right. Well, let's talk about another young guy that basically, I mean, he's impressed over the last 3 games. He has no points since his first game where he had the 2 assists. What have you seen from Denver Barkey? I mean, impressed, like you say, with the 2 assists in his first game. I was noticeable against the Canucks. I noticed him quite a bit. I believe he had a really good scoring chance to actually get his first NHL goal as well. So very impressive early on.
Yeah, very impressive. I will say that we are recording like just after the Blackhawks game, so he left the game. I'm not sure if he came back, but it would really stink to see him go down, especially right before the break. I hope he's okay, but that aside, he's played about as well as you could have hoped for. Yeah, he doesn't have any points since that really good 2-point game against the Rangers, but he's doing everything you want him to do. He is super competitive. That's what he's been his whole life. He is going to be one of your hardest working players, even though he's small. He's going to win those puck battles, and he's going to be a genuine nuisance to go against. And keep in mind, he's only 20 years old. And, you know, to come in with that kind of confidence and that kind of, you know, impact is just awesome to see. Really, really fun player. And you can see a future for him in this city. He's, again, only 3 games in, but he's just proving everybody who's ever believed in him right. So we'll see what the future holds. I think he deserves to stay on the Flyers, regardless of, you know, injured players come back. Well, Forster's going to be out for a while. I feel like he's the long-term replacement, but Hathaway's been sitting on the bench and Delorier's been sitting on the bench. So I don't know how they view that. Maybe they view Barkey as kind of their substitute. Maybe they view someone else lower in the lineup as their substitute. Maybe someone like Rabenkin. But either way, I think he has earned a spot on this team. And he should stay there really until he proves otherwise.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the thing is, he's really young. I say with the 20 years old and has a lot of potential. Another prospect that I've liked since his draft year, and undersized, but very competitive. And all those undersized guys, if they're successful, that's what they are. I mean, you see that in a lot of their games. Work ethic. They're not afraid to, you know, engage in physicality or anything like that. And he's very creative as well as a player. So I really like him, and I'm glad that he's already had some success. And I think he's going to have a lot of success in the NHL as his career goes on as well. All right, moving to goaltending. And I mean, Ersson struggled most of this season. And of course, first, coming off a win, we only allowed 1 goal. I had 20 saves in the game against the Blackhawks. But Vladar's been the guy that's kind of carried the goaltending this season. What do you make of Ersson? I mean, the one thing about him is he doesn't really have a set future because of Vladar. What do you see from him going into the future with the Flyers here?
Now, that's kind of the thing. He's going to have to, at this point, play for his future with the team, because I'm not sure that they have internal replacements right now, because, you know, Kolosov is young ish, and he's just kind of really finding his groove in the AHL this season. So maybe he's not ready for the jump next year. And you have Bjarnason, who is also 20 years old, like Barkey, same draft year. So that's a young guy. You probably want him in the AHL another year. So I'm not sure they have an internal replacement, but at the same time, Ersson needs to play well, and he did have a good game against Chicago. That is exactly what you want to see from your backup. If he can keep playing like that, I think he could sign an extension, because he is eligible for a contract extension. His contract expires this offseason, so to me, at this stage, he's kind of playing for that. He has no set future. You do look at the numbers; they aren't really that good.
Mm.
He is capable of giving you some solid performances. He has played well in the shootout historically, and
Mhm.
this is a team that goes to the shootout kind of a lot. So it's good to have a goalie like that.
Mhm.
But yeah, at the end of the day, he is still playing for his future. So we'll see how he responds to that. That is, a lot of pressure. And he is still 26 years old. He's not overly old.
Mhm.
So he could be a backup for the next couple of years as the younger guys in the system. Even looking at over in Russia, Egor Zavragin, um, he's going to be a few years as well. So you need somebody as the backup. If assuming Vladar is the starter for a year, maybe a couple more.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, he's playing for that long term, maybe even short term future in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, he was kind of forced into the started role when Carter Hart was removed from the team, basically. And I mean, he played well, I think, after that for a while. It's just, I don't think that's where his ceiling, I don't think, is a starter. I think is that maybe a 1B is probably his ceiling at this point. But I think backup is probably your ideal spot for him. And that's where he's got to play well, like he did against the Blackhawks. Of course, a very undermanned Blackhawks team. He wasn't dealing with the likes of Connor Bedard in this one. So I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how he does for the rest of this season, and maybe potentially beyond if they feel that he can still be a backup, or they want to go with someone. Either I don't know if they're going to want to go with a young guy or try to sign one of these veteran guys in free agency to kind of maybe pair with Vladar until those guys are ready. All right, move forward, and you mentioned extensions for guys, and Christian Dvorak has been a very, I don't know if it was a surprise or maybe a bit of a surprise of how well he's done with the Flyers this season. 1-year deal. It was basically we'll see how it goes. Should they extend him? I mean, he's been a kind of a Swiss Army knife for the Flyers this season so far.
Yeah, that's the big question here, and there is a secret third option. When you assume extend or not, you assume trade or extend.
Yeah.
You could also let him walk, because again, this is a team that they should probably try to make the playoffs, and that's kind of the idea for extending him slash just keeping him, is that you want to make the playoffs and you want to do your players that respect, especially the guys who have been here a little longer, who have really toughed out this very difficult stretch in this franchise's history. Guys like Konechny, Sanheim, even Couturier, they deserve it. I do think they deserve a real shot. Maybe not winning the Stanley Cup. You don't assume that with this kind of team, but you want to give them a chance to do something, in the playoffs and not trade a key player like Dvorak. So
Mm-hmm.
it would be tough to tell the players to do that you're going to do that, especially since they already did that with Sean
Yeah.
Walker a couple years back when they were right in the mix and they just barely missed the playoffs. So I can understand the idea that you want to do your players that respect. That doesn't mean you have to extend him to a long-term contract, which is kind of the other angle there, is that he's going to be 30 this season, and a long-term extension for a player in a career year might not be the best idea
Mm-hmm.
because just general aging trends. This is nothing against the player. This is just father time and stats, and this is how the human body works.
Yeah.
You can't dodge it. It happens to everybody. So you have that angle as well. And for a trade, if you can get a first round pick for a player like that, it'd be a tough pill to swallow for the players, especially trading a
Mm-hmm.
guy like that. But if you can get a ton of capital and flip that for an even better player down the line, it's hard to say no to. So
Mm-hmm.
there are both angles to it. At this point, I don't think there's a right or wrong, um, because again, it's so tough for a team that hasn't made the playoffs in so long to trade away a player like that. And then the other side of it is that you could get a lot for this player. And we saw what the Flyers got or traded for Zegras. They didn't even have to trade a first-round pick, and they got a point per game 24-year-old player. That's how valuable a first-round pick can be. So I don't know. It's very tough.
It is. And the thing is, you trade them and you're in a playoff race like they are right now. It weakens your team, especially if you're just getting a first-round pick. You're not getting a guy that's going to replace them. It is a tough thing, like you say, with the messaging you're sending to the team. It's like, well, we're trading this guy away. We're weakening the team. And then they're like, oh, okay. So how's that? Where are we going? I think it is tough. It's that asset management thing. It's very the balancing act on that for sure. All right. Well, one guy that is definitely going to be part of the Flyers, hopefully for a long time, Porter Martone, and he's a guy that's of course going to World Juniors for Team Canada, probably going to be definitely playing on the top line. Had 4 points in the final pre-tournament game against Denmark today, when we're recording. That is. What do you think about? I mean, Martone's already looking like he's going to be a big part of Canada this year.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge tournament for him. He is a returning player from last year, but he's going to have a huge role this year. He's going to play with some really talented players, presumably Michael Misa and probably Tija Ginla. So that is a pretty stacked top line. These recent tournaments have not gone well for Canada. They've been ousted early. But if he can get them to that gold medal standard again, he can kind of become a Canadian hero a little bit. Yeah. So hope to see that. And yeah, this is like I said, a huge tournament for him. He has dominated every single time he's played against these types of players, players his age. He's been great internationally. I expect the same. He is a very, very gifted player. There's a reason he went 6th overall, and that was arguably too low for him to go. This is maybe could be the best player on the team when all is said and done. Could be the best player in this tournament, period. He has that upside to be that good.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can do because the thing is Canada hasn't had the most success at the World Juniors in the last few years. And if he can be that Mason McTavish, those types of guys, Connor Bedard, the guys that kind of carried Canada to these gold medals, it'd be great. If he can be that one. Of course, he's going to have some really good players to play with. Some really high-end guys that can feed off his skill as well. So we'll see how it all goes. There's been a little panic, of course, pre-tournament, whatever, that Canada's been a bit sloppy. I mean, it's pre-tournament. It's like it's preseason. It's like whatever. If they start playing that way in the round robin, then you're like, okay, we got to maybe have some concerns. But I think Canada will be fine. There's some really strong teams, of course, in the World Juniors this year. The U.S. trying for the three-peat, arguably maybe a weaker team this year. Czechia looks like a wagon. So, I mean, there's going to be some tough teams, and Sweden has, of course, high-end skill. So we'll see if Canada can do it, and that all starts on Boxing Day. So we'll see Martone right away in the next few days here. But NHL's in holiday mode, holiday break. Well, I guess when we're recording, there's still a couple games, but whatever. As you're watching this, they're in holiday break. So we'll see how everyone get rested up, and then it's back at it with push to the playoffs and the trade deadline and all that fun stuff we'll be talking about on here as well. So thanks, Justin, for coming on, talking Flyers as always. I'll make sure checking out everything at thehockeyrace.com. We got great articles from Flyers writers, the rest of the teams, if you want to take a look at all that, and our Substack newsletter if you haven't subscribed. Make sure you're up to date because you'll be up to date with all the articles through there. And check out all of our other videos at the Hockey Writers YouTube channel. But until our next video, we will see you next time.